Well, good afternoon. I just got done doing an order that was supposed to be $40, but they canceled it. They canceled one of the people, so I lost $5. But it's not terrible. Could be better. Um, Talking to some drivers who I usually talk to, they're taking those orders. um, in a smooth way, I just tell them I don't take them. Because they're not going to raise it if you keep taking those. So, my big advice from experience, of past experience doing e-gig work, and I've got 5 years. Uber was my first, and it'll probably be my last. Yeah, over 5 years. Is don't get into debt to maintain your car. So don't use your credit card unless you can pay for the repairs within the typical credit card is like 25 days, 21 days for each cycle. If you don't pay it within that time period, you pay interest. So if you can't pay it within 20 days, don't do it. If your market allows you to rent a car, and say you got tires that you need to buy because you have an all-wheel drive and you need to get all 4 drive tires, and it's going to cost you $600, and you don't have $600. But hey, I got a credit card. Don't charge it. What you do is you go and you rent. I think the rental's $225 a week now. Make the money renting. Put that money aside. Then once you have that money, then pay. I know that when I did the rental, actually the Quest was awesome. You can do X amount per week and get it deducted. Plus, I deducted my rentals on my taxes. So pretty much you're paying up front. If you were to rent full time, you're not paying for tires. You are for gas, but you're not going to pay for the tires. You're not going to pay for the oil changes. Basically, you are up front, but you're still going to save money that way, actually, to be honest with you, when you look at it. This way, you don't do what I did. Maintain the car and have all these things happen, not have the money, and keep on charging the credit cards. And then it was like a snowball. It just accumulated. And I'm only making minimum payments, and now all of a sudden I'm filled up with all my cards. So I think, set aside money if you can. Kind of like Dave Ramsey's emergency fund. Put your money aside. Factor in 15%, or go to the payroll calculator site. Select your state and do it that way. And then you can do your deductions, and then use that as a guesstimator. Okay, it might not be exactly accurate, but hey, if you're a W-2 and you had paid, and then at least you can see, okay, 15% is what I saw. Okay, then at least you know you're safe, right? And then put that money aside. Then try to put money aside for your bills and your maintenance, if you can. And write it down. And then when shit happens, you have the money on the side. Then you use your credit card, and then you pay the credit card immediately. Then you get your points. But if you can't do it that way, and you're in a situation where you have a big expense, it's best to rent. Then earn the money. Try to get your Quest so you can get your money back for the rental, and then put the money aside and then fix it. Then, because that's the way up until that loan. I mean, that's half the reason why I was in trouble, because I kept on having to go to the dealer for all these things that would happen, and not having the cash, and charging it. It just couldn't. I was treading water, with a crazy amount of debt, having to make like $4,000 a month. So that loan, the economic injury disaster loan, saved my ass. It saved the taxpayers a lot of money. I didn't have to collect unemployment. They would have found out about my Instacart earnings anyways. Then they would have deducted. I mean, I would be paying it back anyway, probably. Yeah, I didn't have to declare bankruptcy. I was on the edge of bankruptcy. So that's kind of similar to like Dave Ramsey's idea of having an emergency fund, and which makes sense. It's common sense. Writing down the purpose to the money does help. I understand about the biggest interest, pay that off first, but I think psychologically it really makes you feel better when you knock out the debts. So starting off with the smaller ones, and then what you would be paying on the smaller ones, convert that right over to the next one. Listing your debts from greatest to smallest and snowballing them up like that, then you're going to feel better, because you're going to see the progress. If you're starting with the big one, if you have a big one, it can seem like you're not making any progress, and then that affects you psychologically. So I definitely I don't do this one. Those pizzas don't stay hot, you know what I mean? I'm not delivering cold pizzas, and they always make you wait anyways, so screw that. So I think psychologically that makes you feel better. Like psychologically, it'll make me feel better to get my cars owned. That'll make me feel better, and then I'll have some equity. So that's my lessons I've learned. So I do have actually that emergency fund. I think $1,000, as Dave Ramsey has written, I think that's too small. I've read an article, it's a milestone to save $1,000. Now, I can understand if you're not making that much money, it is, but what does $1,000 get you today? Especially here in California, where rent's like $15 to $3,000. So I think actually a milestone would be 3,000 or 2. I think 3. I think that emergency fund should go from 1,000 to 3,000. And then, follow Dave Ramsey's idea of then attack your debts with gazelle intensity. And I think I have been. I have made some spending, but I think I'm doing pretty good. Then after you knock out the debt, then yeah, I like the idea of like 6 months of um, bills being saved up, and then investing in mutual funds. Those four types. I forget, but I think that's a good way of doing it. Then, when you're gonna know that you're gonna wear out your car, or have a guesstimate of when you're gonna wear out your car. Like, take the time to, like, how much things are gonna cost to replace, to the point now where it becomes better to buy another car. Like, how long are you going to get out of these parts that you're going to buy to keep the car on the road, than to the price of another car? And then take the time to do that, and then you can know that sweet spot. And then, okay, what is the price of a car that you're going to buy at that time? Break it down, and then just put the money aside each month. Then when that time comes, plus or minus a bit, you have the money. And then, yeah, you don't have to finance. Now, some people will be like, you're not going to get the deal. Well, if that's true, then finance it, but pay the finance off immediately. Make sure there's no penalty to pay off the loan early. Then voila, then you pay off the loan immediately, right? And then, yeah, you're not using debt. And so yeah, Dave Ramsey, yeah, I'm not taking that, man. Especially not going way over there for 11. It's just not doing that, man. It's crazy. That should be at least $20. If that was 20, I would have taken it. So yeah, I agree. I succumb to the idea of, like, debt isn't a tool. It's tomorrow's freaking dollar spent today. It's reverse. Don't spend money to get a tax break. That is, you know what I mean? With the way he breaks it down, yeah, you're not winning doing that. So, yeah, makes sense. I've lived those mistakes about freaking debt, dude. I'm like, yeah, I understand. Don't take advice from broke people, but at the same time, my experience being broke and being in debt has given me this wisdom of, don't take debt. If you're going to college and you can avoid taking student loans, avoid them. Student loans don't disappear on a bankruptcy. We'll take this. We'll take this. $20, can't complain. Let's see if there's a drink. Cookies and cream. There is. There's never a drink in this one. So perfecto. I will let you guys go.